You're not a real man if you don't listen to Taylor Swift. What's going on, YouTube? It's Knox Hill, and we're back with our reaction series. So today, man, we have a special one on deck. You guys have been highly requesting this. This is Coulda, Woulda, Shoulda from the one and only Taylor. But before we get any further, listen, guys, I'm going to give a quick shout out to the Patreon. Exclusive reactions and content on there. A great way to support the channel directly. Join up with the Patreon family and community. I'll put all links down there. Also, shout out to the website, guys. Exclusive hats, merch, gear, hoodies, whatever you need. We got it covered on there. Another great way to support the channel. You want to check it out? All links down there. But anyways, know what we're here for. T-Swizzle, step back up to the plate. Let's see what you got. Wow. That's super eerie because that's her voice just humming, right? And the way that they've cooked that through the production, it sounds like it's an instrument almost, right? It's like vibrating and it's just kind of bouncing around in the mix right now. I love that sort of experimentation in the mix. And then obviously this guitar drops in. Let's see where we roll.
If you would've blinked, then I would've looked away at the first glance. If you tasted poison, you could've spit me out at the first chance. If I was some paint, did it splatter on a promising grown man? And if I was a child, did it matter if you got to wash your hands? Oh.
Hang on a second. That's a really interesting line here. If I was some painted as splatter on a promising grown man. See, you would say like a promising young man. It's a different connotation when you say a promising grown man. You're implying that that person has a lot to learn.
And if I was a child, did it matter if you got to wash your hands?
If I was a child, did it matter if you got to wash your hands? You know, you wash your hands clean metaphorically of a situation. But I can't help but think she's talking about a grown man, her seeing herself as a child. Is this the John Mayer relationship? I do know about that relationship with Taylor. She was what, like 18, 19 then? And Mayer was in his 30s? I mean, that is a huge difference in maturity level, in age, especially at that point for Taylor.
I was a child, did it matter if you got to wash your hands? All I used to do was pray. Would've, could've, should've, if you'd never looked my...
It's almost like a polyrhythmic hit sort of here with the percussion, man. It's like kicking it. I feel like she's about to start just like flow and we're going to get some rap rhythms from her. I love just like, there's this subtle attitude and aggression with that percussive hit, but it's really underneath the mix. It misses her humming, obviously the guitar strums and all of that. Like everything else is moody and atmospheric, but there's just a little bit of something different underneath, which to me makes sense with what she's talking about lyric-wise.
All I used to do was pray. Would've, could've, should've, if you'd never looked my way, I would've stayed on my knees, and I damn sure never would've danced with the devil. At 19, and the God's honest truth is that the pain was heaven. And now that I'm grown, I'm scared of ghosts.
Yeah, there it is. She's talking about 19, the God's honest truth. But what's interesting is this juxtaposition, right? Dancing with the devil. Like you've made a contract with the devil. Wow. I mean, you think about the levels to that one right there. But then she has that flip talking about God here.
At 19, and the God's honest truth is that the pain was heaven.
God's honest truth is that the pain was heaven. And you know, we've talked about this in relationships before. You know, there's a fine line between love and hate and obsession. And sometimes, even amidst toxic relationships, it can be addicting, right? Even that pain, because that becomes your status quo. You get used to functioning and living underneath of that pain. And that can still feel like bliss in a way because you're feeling something, right? So I love the way that she kind of sets this up, like making a contract with the devil in this relationship, but then flipping it to this pain and honest to God's truth, feeling like heaven. Very clever writing and lyricism from her.
Now that I'm grown, I'm scared of ghosts. Memories feel like weapons.
Oh, those are my favorite lines right there. Now that I'm grown, I'm scared of ghosts because I'm always looking back in the past. I'm afraid of that. When really, when you're a child, you should probably be more afraid of like ghost stories and things like that. When you're grown, you should go, well, they're not real. So again, there's that just taking a meaning and just flipping it with a different connotation with the way that she's writing
I'm
it.
scared of ghosts, memories feel like weapons.
And then that line is my favorite. Memories feel like weapons. Because memories are weapons inside our own heads. And if we're always reflecting and caught back, looking at the past, woulda, coulda, shoulda, hindsight is 2020, right? This is like the embodiment of that saying that, you know, we could have changed this. We would have done something different. If only we had a chance, we should have done something different. And we're always like correcting and fixing ourselves. And you get so stuck looking in the past, you can never truly move forward. You can never really progress.
And now that I know, I wish you'd left me wondering. If you never touched me, I would've gone along with the righteous. If I never blushed, then they could've never whispered about this. And if you never saved me from boredom.
Clever, because she started off with the would've and the could've in that first verse, and then she flipped it again here to start her second verse with. Just good symmetry with the writing.
Never whispered about this. And if you never saved me from boredom, I could have gone on as I was.
What is it saying? An idle mind is the devil's playground. There's a lot of religious imagery and word choice underneath of all of this. But then ultimately she's saying, you know, a bored mind. And that's why she'd entered into this relationship. And it sounds very naively that she entered into it. And it sounds like the person on the other end, which I'm guessing is Mr. Mayer, was not so innocent with his intent.
Never whispered about this. And if you never saved me from boredom, I could have gone on as I was. But Lord, you made me feel important. And then you tried to.
Again, like, oh, but Lord, you made me feel important. She's not talking to the Lord. It's, you know, a turn of phrase, a way of saying, but Lord, you made me feel important. Still, like, just the word choice and staying with this theme of religion underneath of it all. And to me, that suggests this loss of innocence. Ultimately, this loss of innocence, this sin with it.
But Lord, you made me feel important. And then you tried to erase us. Oh, you're a crisis of my faith. Would've, could've, should've. If I'd only played it safe, I would've stayed on my knees. And I damn sure never would've danced with the devil.
Yeah, I would have stayed on my knees. You're a crisis of faith. On your knees like you're praying. But in this case, she would have kept her innocence. And there could be a further layer of innocence, like, you know, keeping her girlhood, her virginity in a sense. And maybe there's more to
My
it.
knees, and I damn sure never would've danced with the devil. At 19, and the God's honest truth is that the pain was heaven. And now that I'm grown, I'm scared of ghosts. Memories feel like weapons. And now that I know, I wish you left me wondering. God rest my soul, I miss who I used to be. The tomb won't close, stained glass windows in my mind. I regret you all the time.
It's a tough line. I regret you all the time, but the tomb won't close. I take that as, you know, I can't get closure. It just won't die, right? The ghosts of the past are still there, and the stained glass, like fragmented colors in my mind, instead of having this purity, this sort of religious purity that she keeps alluding to. You know, now there's sin. Now there's disfiguration through it all. Like looking through a stained glass window in a church. Again, the word choice, very good writing.
I regret you all the time. I can't let this go. I fight with you in my sleep. The wound won't close. I keep on waiting for a sign. I regret you all the time. If clarity's in death, then why won't this die? Years of tearing.
If clarity's in death, then why won't this die? Because if this has really died, I should have clarity, but it's the opposite. She has clarity. She sees the situation for what it is now that she's much older and she can reflect and she's not as naive and young and she's learned her lessons, right? And yet she has this clarity, and you know, like death gives you clarity in a sense. In those moments before you die, your life flashes before your eyes. But in this case, she's not getting that. Again, another clever flip.
Won't this die? Years of tearing down our banners, you and I, living for the thrill of hitting you where it hurts. Give me back my
Remember I talked about that lost innocence? And right here, this rising, like the strings are being introduced now. The percussion is hitting just a little bit harder. Even that writing, like, God rest my soul, and then the tomb won't close, because when somebody dies, you say, you know, God rest their soul. But in this case, she's just trying to find a different sort of death, a death of this memory, a death of this relationship, and a reprieve from it all. Wow. Yeah, what a line to finish on. I regret you all the time. And even like the visuals of the candles being lit, you know, like at church and having a vigil for someone. She's having a vigil almost for this relationship. And I love the moodiness to it all. Like we talked about, sort of that juxtaposition of that just percussion running underneath of it, right? Just something a little bit harsher, but everything else, like even like those harmonies that were part of the production the entire time, just like those moody hummings and ahs, just like filling the atmosphere of the mix and like her mental space. And for me, that was probably one of my favorite lyrical writings from her. Just shows off her ability as a songwriter, just the themes, the clever metaphors that she used, the way that she danced within it. Of course, like the catchy flows to it all, the style of delivery, the rhyme writing as well. Taylor Swift, you were Knox Hill certified. Hope you guys liked today's video. Listen, if you did, do me a huge favor, support the channel directly. Subscribe, notifications on, really does go a long way. Also, comment down below what's next in our Taylor Swift journey. Any other videos, any other artists you want to see me check out. I try to read as many of your comments as I can, guys. I love you. Stay safe, stay positive. It's Knox Hill. You know I'll catch you again.